Hello everyone, welcome to Toyeen Talks. Ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ enjoy. Until I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe, stay blessed. I love you all. Bye.
Is our friend, our good friend. So am I attacking one? She might have one or two informations. Am I attacking one? Kemi has spoken her own. This woman spoke too. Mama play a video once in Bashiton. But I want us to listen to Kemi first. Maybe 2 or 3 of Kemi's video. Then we listen to this woman. You know. So Joe. It might even wrong. Kemi's father might even marry only her mother, and something will go wrong too. This is all about parenting gone wrong. Something went wrong somewhere.
Of it, and my grandmother, my late grandmother, Elijah Bintu Tejimola Olunloyo. I lived with her for about 2 or 3 years just to get to school on time because I had asthma. My mom and Elijah didn't get along. There was just so much going on in that whole family unit stuff. When they brought Benga to our house, Benga was born outside the marriage. Benga was born the same year my mother was pregnant with me, and my dad had another affair. And that woman, Mrs. Akere, took care of her son and left him in a village kind of area. So it was when we were 12, Benga was 12, I was 12, that they brought Benga to UI to come and live with us. For me, as the second born, meeting someone that's supposedly born the same year and born outside, I did not really take to Benga very easily. You know what I mean? Today, both of us are 60. And this is the history of Kapoor. You hear these rumors, nobody can tell these stories, I'm the only one. When we were growing up, there were arguments, there were fights and all, but he was coming from a very illiterate background. He was living with his grandmother in one of the small villages. And when they brought him in, the goal was to integrate him with all of us. And Benga would join us in school, staff school, Aberdeen, all the schools were in UI. And his mother was married to somebody else. Mrs. Akiri was married to one Elijah Akiri, and she had other children on that side. And I don't know why, but my dad will take us to go to Mrs. Akiri's house to go play with them. In other words, all of us in our family, my sisters, Shola, my brother, all of us would go there, and then we'll come home. We're just kids, right? But something wasn't right, you know, because Mrs. Akiri was still there. That's what I saw. And I don't know why my mom took this and allowed it. If we say allow, there were times when my grandmother, Elijah, was controlling my mom. She just has to do what they tell her to do. My mom had my brother Ayobami, and in 1977, and my grandmother on the mother's side had to come and live with us to take care of the baby. When Daddy got his appointment with Obasanjo, and we had to move to Lagos, NSTDA, National Science and Technology Development Agency. When my dad got that job, what happened was we now decided that we wanted to go to Lagos. We love going to Lagos. All the kids in the cars, 2 cars, government cars, FGN and CVU number plates, and we just go to Lagos a lot. We would stay in Federal Palace Hotel in the top suite, the penthouse suite, and it became like our house there. President Obasanjo was the head of state, and Daddy was working for him. And the NSTDA will be like Ministry of Science and Technology now. So we would just go and have fun. We loved the beach and things. So on this one fateful time, my auntie Olunloyo, and her family were doing a wedding. Auntie Ore was married to my late Uncle Femi, and Auntie Ore, most of you know Auntie Ore, she writes children's books. You have seen her name on books and stuff. So the George family, that's her maiden name, or a George. The George family were having a wedding, so we were all going to that wedding. And they took all of us, the kids. After we were settling down in Lagos, so off to Federal Palace Hotel, penthouse suites, everything. When all of a sudden, we were supposed to leave at 10 a.m. in the morning. My mother cooked all the food, and she put all the food in the car. Pots of efo, pots of omiobe, just different things we're going to eat and things. And we were excited, we were ready. And Daddy left the house and told Mommy he'll be back by 12 noon, and we'll start going on the express to Lagos. My dad did not come back till 7 p.m. He said he was going to the office. There were no cell phones. The landlines, you can only use it to call the office, and if no one's speaking in the office, then we didn't know where Dad was. Dad came in at 6:37, and my mom said we should not go. It's too late. In those days, 1978, armed robbers were on the roads too, but not as bad. But at night, it's not good to travel with all the children and stuff. We'll be tired. By the time we get to Lagos, Daddy said, let's go. When we left, the driver got in the cars, 2 drivers. I was in the CVU in front. Army green car. That was the government official cars then. They have CVU plates and FGM plates. I got in there with Tayo. My brother was 8, I was 13, and Daddy. We were in that car. The other car had the other children. My brother, Ayobami, most of you know Ayobami. He's a pastor at Redeem and he's a Cambridge graduate, engineer, name it. Very brilliant. Ayobami was a baby, so he didn't go with us. Mama in the house and the house girl. So we now all got in the car, Yemi, Benga, Shola, everybody else from Kenya, they were all in the second car with my mom. And what happened next will shock you. As we drove through the Ibadan-Lagos Expressway, we arrived in Lagos at 7 p.m., 7:30, and as we drove right into Ikorodu Road, we were attacked. Throughout the trip, we didn't turn on the radio. In Nigeria at that time, 1978, there were no cell phones or anything, or no internet. But the radio would be the one that would have warned us that there's a riot going on in Ikorodu Road, Ali Moscow riot, with all the students and hoodlums and everybody. Any cars that came in, they were just robbing people, stopping them, burning cars. It was a really violent riot. But the moment they saw our car with the plate CVU and FGN, they smashed through rocks. One of the rocks opened Tayo's head and took half of his brain. As soon as the car stopped, boom, the driver was killed. A rock hit him in the head. He was bleeding. Our driver died that night. I ran out of the burning car. I just saw one person open the tank with a match and struck the man. The car blew up. So Taya and I were in the car, and the car was burning. A man now came and threw me out of the car, and my head hit the pavement. Bam. And I was unconscious, semi-conscious, and I watched Taya burning in the car. And that's all I saw. I just saw the car burning, and my brother was sitting there like this. He was already unconscious. Blood was shooting out of his head. Ow. And as soon as I came out, all these men just grabbed me. They stripped me naked, and they all put their hands in my vagina. They molested me to the point that I was bleeding. I had tears in my vagina. I had 17 stitches at Luth. This is a real story. Stop. This is traumatic for me. Daddy caused this. And Mommy told him that we must not leave. He made us leave and he endangered every single one of us. They were crowd surfing me, throwing me up and down. I was naked, 13 years old. The last time this happened in Lagos, it was a girl in the middle of a protest. This is the reason I don't protest in Nigeria or America or Canada. It is a lifelong trauma because my father made the mistake.
Ade Phillips. Somebody went through all this. How do you expect her to be a good parent too? I don't know if she's a good parent or not. But from everything she's saying, if she can still be living this trauma at this age and still feeling this way, you are not even, please be kind of empathetic a bit. Okay? Be kind of empathetic a bit. Did you hear everything she's saying? Are you listening to her? Right in her presence. Her brother, she herself, the car got burnt. They were almost burning with the car. People came around to her. And instead, you saw what they did to her. Just because her father did not listen to reasoning. Look, this is a PTSD. She will forever blame that man for whatever she's going through. Probably because they did not take heed. They did not notice. The driver also pie. They did not take caution or take interest in what she was going through to help her out of it. They just felt it's okay. In Nigerian system, just continue like that. And they just left her to continue to move on in life just like that. Parents better learn from all of this. This is not the time to bash her. This is not the time to call her names. Please, if you have not passed through something, don't bash people. The worst you can do is to just keep quiet and watch. Please. It's her pain. It's her journey. It's her family.
What we didn't know is that the driver that took my dad to the office that morning that it took 8 hours to come home told my mom he was dead. He told my mom that.
Ade, you said there are two sides to a story. I believe, and I agree 100%. Now you said you know the family very well. There am I saying that the daddy was happy that his children went through all that? That I cannot say. How we handle it, I cannot say. Did the daddy, were you there? I want to believe probably you were wrong, young too. So you are probably basing your own story on what your daddy told you. You were not privy to the to what went wrong or what transpired thereafter or how the father handled something. Or maybe after all the whole thing, the daddy just left them for their mother and he continued his political problem journey. Please. Ṣé wọ́n bá wọn gbélé wọn ni? Tó bá mọ̀ wọ́n kọ́.
They were being.
If you know them, ṣó bá wọn gbénú ilé ni? Ó mọ bí bàbá wọn ṣe gbé bó ṣe handle ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn. Nǹkan tí bàbá wọn wá sọ́ǹtà ló gbọ́ náà. Ó ní pé we should go and ask bóun ṣe tọ́jú àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀. Ṣé wọ́n tọ́jú òun gangan fúnra ẹ̀ dáadáa? Did she pass through love? A child that is not trained with love, it's difficult to love others. Please.
This house, Mrs. Akere, a woman that had a child for him. At the same time, my mother was pregnant with me. They were having sex and they were together all day. They didn't go to the office. Do you think I can forgive my dad for that? Everybody knew that something happened with me. Is that the driver that took my dad to the office that morning that it took 8 hours to come home told my mom he was dead. He told my mom that. And as soon as I came out, all these men just grabbed me. They stripped me naked and they all put their hands in my vagina. They molested me to the point that I was bleeding. I had tears in my vagina. I had 17 stitches at Luth. This is a real story. Stop. This is traumatic for me. Daddy caused this. Daddy caused this. And mommy told him that we must not leave. He made us leave and he endangered every single one of us. They were crowd surfing me, throwing me up and down. I was naked, 13 years old. The last time this happened in Lagos, it was a girl in the middle of a protest. This is the reason I don't protest in Nigeria or America or Canada. It is a lifelong trauma because my father made the mistake.
Listen.
What we didn't know is that the driver that took my dad to the office that morning that it took 8 hours to come home told my mom he was dead. He told my mom that. They were at Benga's mother's house. Mrs.
Sheba,
Akere,
do you hear? The reason why their daddy came late. Did you hear?
a woman that had a child for him, at the same time my mother was pregnant with me, they were having sex and they were together all day. They didn't go to the office.
That was why he delayed.
Do you think I can forgive my dad for that? Everybody knew that something happened with me, sexually molested. But it was Tokumba Abadari, Esabod, that turned it into another story saying my father molested me at 13. And Nigeria picked it up. Nobody investigated. My father didn't molest me. He's never had sex with me. This is what happened in Ikorodu Road. I've told the story myself. Part 3 coming up.
Now,
Good morning.
did you listen to what she said? The father was with a woman and it endangered their life because he has to go to a girlfriend. He now carried his children in the dead of the night to travel. And you think this lady will ever forgive the man? It was that incident that affected the brother. And that boy was on a wheelchair all through his life. She said her own head too was hit on the floor. Not only that, she was molested. And the driver now confessed and said, this is what happened, oh. Daddy Loba girlfriend, oh. That was why he took you in the night. And you think she will forgive and forget. We undo things differently. It doesn't mean she's a bad woman. What she went through on that night, no woman, no girl will go through that and grow up and forget or forgive. Mrs. Akere was in the picture when we were growing up, before Ronke was in the picture. Supposing that driver was telling lies, I am not saying that the story wasn't true. Supposing he's telling truth, unko? Supposing the driver was telling the truth, unko? Remember, another driver died in that process. So the driver might be exposing everything. But daddy, this is what daddy did. If daddy had come on time, you say supposing. Part 3. Okay.
Reflecting on my father's death. By the time I was seriously sexually molested, a man grabbed me from the crowd and took me away. He was just running with me naked. Imagine carrying a 13-year-old girl naked, screaming, crying, and he took me to his house. His wife gave me a bath, and from there, I slept with them, and they took me to the hospital in the morning. By the time we got to the hospital, honestly, they didn't know who I was. They didn't know whose child I was. They just know they grabbed me out of what they said, a government car that was burned during the riot. At this point, I didn't even know where my own family was. It was just one of the most terrifying things in my life. Now, when I got to the hospital, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, they gave me stitches. I got about 17 stitches in my vaginal area, and I went through a lot of mental trauma from there. And as I said, this is the story that's running around the internet saying my father had sex with me. No, there's no such thing. This is what happened. This story I'm telling you now was not told to my siblings. It was 2015. Something that happened in 1978 was 2015 when my siblings actually found out this happened to me. Do you know how it feels to my children? I have 3 male children. You know what I mean? There are stories that you have to tell them before you.
Thank you. Ade Phillips, you are giving us, let me pin this your comment before you delete it. At least it's been for a while. You said, what I am saying is that Dr. Olunloyo blamed himself. You are talking as an insider now. Now, look at this, your comment, that Dr. Olunloyo blamed himself and never recovered from it. He became an alcoholic because of that terrible incident. If he was not feeling guilty, why did he blame himself? Because of girlfriend.
At the end of the day, I've never
According to what we are reading, because of girlfriend, who jeopardized his life and put the children's life at risk. And this children's life never remained the same. You know, philandry of a man has never brought anything good to the family. Kò ní fẹ́ gbọ́ ni. Ní fẹ́ gbọ́.
given my dad for that because it always comes back to me. Tayo ended up in Igbobi Hospital.
Sorry, there is a comment I pinned earlier before this one. Yay. Where's that comment? Okay. When Moses said, my dad has done worst till date, he's still doing his worst. Now looking for... No, that's not the comment. I think that's a follow-up of that comment. That person said his own father, either his or her, my own dad has locked my siblings up, wishing them by polygamy. Today we survive by God's grace. We are taking care of them. And dad has not apologized till date. I don't know if it's the same person still talking or another person.
Igbobi Hospital did emergency neurosurgery. Dr. Adadevor and Dr. Ojikutu, two of the best neurosurgeons in Nigeria, all late now. They did the operation for Tayo's brain, and Tayo had to be flown abroad after that. He lost his sense of walking, movement. Many things were damaged neurologically for Tayo. At that time, we had very good hospitals, very good neurologists, but he still had to go abroad. Tayo traveled all over the world. President Obasanjo's government funded it. Our life shattered. Our mom had to send us back to Ibadan. We lived with different relatives. They were in Lagos because they had to be at Igbobi, Luz, and all that before they finally went abroad. Traveled on like a 1-year thing. It was a very bad time for me, and Daddy's appointment started at NSTDA. I read something in one of the tributes yesterday online that someone wrote that I knew when this happened. I was a journalist, blah, blah, blah. Some elderly journalist was talking. He said, I don't understand why this man, after what happened to his wife and children and everybody in 1978, he still went ahead and ran for governor. It's like he didn't really care about his family. Well, that's what that person thought. My dad ran for governor in 1983, but this happened in 1978. So we moved to 2 Bedwell Road, Ikoyi, and Tayo was disabled forever. Tayo had a wheelchair at 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, 15, 20. I saw wheelchairs in different sizes. If you want to read more about Tayo's story, you go to KEMI Talks Live on Facebook. It's there in the feed. At the end of the day, it affected us. It affected we, the other children. Now, before we left for that fatal Lagos trip, you need to know how my father also mentally tortured us. When they brought that young man, Benga Kapoor, to our house to come and live with us at 12, he couldn't speak English properly, he was in school with us. Benga would steal a pen in school, and the teachers would report to Dad, he stole a pen today. What this boy was doing was he didn't know the whole mode of etiquette. Maybe he wanted to borrow a pen or a pencil from another classmate and forgot to give it back. The teacher called him a thief. When Benga got home, Daddy would take Benga and hang him on the fan, beat him and put the fan on, and he'll be swirling on the fan and they're beating him. That is torture. That's what my dad did. And you
please let's have some likes on the video. So in the process, Baba Gonti the abuser. You that you say you know them very well. You say he became an alcoholic. In the process, so you are indirectly confirming what KEMI said. Okay? Now the man himself has become an abuser to his children. He said he would tie Benga to fan, and fan will be rolling the guy. Hey, Iliola Yinyonu, Kabiesi o. Hey, Joe, let's have some like on the video, please.
There, you're writing all these nice things about him. Well, you're supposed to be politically correct. So everybody doesn't know what's happening in the Olunloyo house, Happy. Some of these journalists know, but they wouldn't even talk. Okay, there's always that child that tells all the family secrets, and that's me. So at the end of the day, Benga came home with somebody else's pencil again, and now Daddy accused him of stealing. And then what did he do this time? My grandmother was screaming, shouting, stop, stop. My mother was there just watching him doing all this stuff. Benga, after all, it wasn't her child. My dad would plug the iron on the wall and take the iron and put it on Benga's back. 3 triangular scars there. If you ask Benga's children today, okay, some of them are in their 20s or 30s. Tell them to ask their father to open his shirt. The scar is there. My dad put the iron on my brother's back. When I told this story about 5 years ago, I had to. I had to tell this story because it affected me mentally. It traumatized me for the rest of my life because I was a 12-year-old made to watch My own sibling on the fan, tortured with an iron. And when I told this story 5 years ago, when I started KEMI Talks to Life initially, Minga never talked to me again. Of course he wouldn't talk to me anymore. It was the one Daddy empowered. It was the one Daddy gave everything. It was the one Daddy hooked up for everything. But all of us were not empowered. We all wanted to be politicians. We all wanted this job or that one. He never did anything for us. My father will promise to get us jobs in the government or any parastatal that we wanted, but he never did. But people will come to our house and bring their children and say, hey, Omo, me need the shembi by, Omo, me need the share come bank. Daddy only picked up the phone and called bank managers, commissioners, and they got that person a job. And we noticed the pattern. Daddy, you're getting everybody else's children jobs and everything. What about your own children? Then my mother started fighting. What have you done for your children? Everybody. One day my dad said in 2012, everybody come and see me if you want to go into politics. We want to discuss what you want to run for and everything. My dad never helped anybody. But if go my day, I'm in pain, I have a headache, my blood pressure. He always had an excuse. Then one day my mother started yelling at him. My mother started saying, Iwo olori buruku tó fi gbogbo àwọn ọmọ ìgbàgbára, tó ń trick wọn, tó fi wọn gbàgbára. Translation, somebody in the comments translate that. He cursed my dad out saying that he was using us to get power, Illuminati power, so that he can be more powerful politically. My dad took my brother, Oyeleke, the late boy who died at 17 when a car hit him in UK, took him to a ritualist to fortify him so that he can do well in school and all that. Honestly, I've never heard of it before. Some of you are saying the Yorubas do it. I have never heard of people fortifying the children before they go abroad to school. The only thing I know is that pray for your children. I will say this to you. My dad took my brother, my 17-year-old brother, Oyeleke, and another sibling who I wouldn't mention, to a ritualist. I called him out on his 80th birthday. However, when they got there, they were to drink blood. And it's human blood, it's not animal blood. They drank blood. Oyeleke died 6 weeks later when he got to the UK. A car hit him. Driver got 3 years for manslaughter, and that was the end of it. My mother started shouting at my dad that he sacrificed to Oyeleke to get more power. We were not there. She's the one seeing all the power. Fight started. You're a witch. You sacrifice your son. One will call the other one a witch. Call my mom a witch. My dad, mom will call my dad sacrifice. It was just way too much. I saw all these. Some of these things I captured on tape when they were fighting. And my other sibling, I won't mention who it is. From that blood drinking, my sibling contracted HIV. One of my siblings has HIV and living with it now for years. When I confronted my dad about the drinking blood, and I called him out on his 80th birthday, then he went to Adibuye to go and become born again. My sibling is living with HIV, takes medicines, everything, and at the end of the day, it was from that blood. Daddy, you ruined lives, you ruined the family. You ruined the family. People suffered in silence. I hope you're watching my video. I hope you're watching, Daddy. People suffered in silence because of the evil things you did. And Ronke, you introduced our father to Juju. You and my grandmother, but you took him to a lot of places in Ibefun, Jebodi. When Daddy would wake up at 5 in the morning, he wouldn't brush, he wouldn't bath, he would go straight to Obasanjo's house at Hilltop because they're going to Ibefun or some other place to do Juju. He told me this himself. He even blamed Obasanjo for Oyeleke's death, saying that when Obasanjo came to the house, he dropped something at the gate. They knew what they were doing, but anyway, I'm just telling you what you need to know. In this lifetime, you will not hear it again. Nobody will tell you. You have your own in your house.
Part 4. We cannot listen to everything. No, it's long. She's still on it. She's still on it. And honestly, everything is every part of that video is what listening to. is worth listening to for posterity's sake, for people to learn from.
I'm not representing any other child. I'm representing myself and my own children.
Politics is not ordinary in Nigeria. And I will tell you, I have seen somebody that you will never think will do bad thing go into politics. If you have been watching my videos, remember I told you of a guy that went into politics in my area and buried the head of cow on the streets where everybody is passing. Head of a big cow. Politics.
Times when our mom and dad will tell us to send our children home so that we can take a break, we can work properly. I had to go to Baghdad, Iraq with NBC. I was covering the war in 2003, and I remember sending my son home, the youngest. And before that, in the early millennium, I sent my oldest son home, possibly like late 90s, early to mid-late 90s. When I sent my child home, my mom and dad were fighting again, and what did he have to do with? By the time my child came back to America, he was 2.5 years old, 3, and he didn't talk anymore. My son did not talk anymore. My son was okay when he went to Nigeria. He couldn't talk anymore. My son did not talk till he was 14, but the white people will have a word for it. That's when they said he was autistic, autism. He has a speech delay. I heard that for years. Then I heard he has autism. In America, what did they do to my child? My father took my son to a ritualist with Ronke. Ronke, kilo so for me. He wasn't speaking properly. So our Lord below saw the traditionalist. Me Ronke, below saw the traditionalist. I did Ronke. Below saw the traditionalist. Me Soromo. I diagnosed someone for autism. For 14 years, I become very violent. He now started talking at 14 years old. He said, Mommy, for the first time at 14 years old. I dealt with autism all my life. I dealt with all what Anyton went through all my life because you took my dad and my son to a ritualist. That is how I dealt with autism. The story of that you will see in write-ups on my Facebook. At the end of the day.
So it is this woman she was blaming for her son autism. But autism.
It was like you had no trust anymore. As I'm saying my story, I'm not representing anybody. I'm representing myself and what happened to me and what damaged my life. I lost numerous jobs. There will be pharmacies where I'll be working. I was an award-winning pharmacist. I got an award from my governor, my mayor, my county executive, and the U.S. President, Clinton. There will be jobs that I will be at, and they will call me to come and pick my son up from school because he was going violent. He had profound autism. But Allah, tell me, Madrasi, Jacob, you survived, lady. My son is 38 years old now. Aside from the fact that the man that I had the boy for did not even accept my child or even come up until that boy was 34 when I called him out. That's Babs Ogwande, the vice president of the NBFF, Nigerian Basketball Federation. You know that story. I worked hard for Annie. I did so much for Annie. I spent time and money. And I couldn't work as a pharmacist anymore. This is what made me go to study public relations and then later journalism. Because I couldn't keep a pharmacy job. Because I was raising a child that had a disability. A child that was perfectly fine before he went to Nigeria. I started volunteering myself in schools. I'll be going to schools every week to go and talk to students about drugs. If you thought to nominate me for award, I will have dinner with the governor, the president, everything, and get my green card in 24 hours because I was an alien of exceptional ability. That is my green card, NIW, National Interest Waiver. I lost everything. I had to come back to Nigeria. I could not take care of my child. I had to give custody to the state. I built a 5-bedroom house. I did not enjoy it, all because of my dad. And my mom will come to America saying she's coming to help me. She's coming to do this, coming to do that. Mommy, no, Shogun. My mother would pile all kinds of charms into my house and I didn't know. Remember when I told you that don't let your family come and stay with you when you're abroad? My mother would be writing prayers in front of me in little papers. She would fold it together. She would add charms. She would put it behind the picture on the wall. I found everything when she was gone. Kini mo ṣe fún yín? Kini mo ṣe fún yín? Baba Olunloyo àti ìyá Olunloyo, kini mo ṣe fún yín? The same Tokunbo Aboderin tó sọ̀rọ̀. Don't she apologize for saying her father had sex with me, but the same person, she did it on live video. She was sincere. She was just mad because I said that Jide Tucker was a black widow when all his wives were dying. But that is too extreme. Ajimobi was angry. He wanted them to arrest her if she ever steps into the country. At the end of the day, Esabod said it best. What did she say? She said, Olunloyo star nínú gbogbo wọn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ fẹ́ pa star yẹn rẹ́. I don't believe I'm the one that had the star. Tayo had the star. They maimed Tayo. They maimed him. Because even with everything that happened with Tayo, my mother said she heard a bird on that night before we traveled. Oni kowe nonpe. Tobandu in konfe kuniye. If that bird is making noise, that means somebody's about to die or have a disaster.
Which bird is kowe in English?
They found a python behind her house. They found a huge python in my Molete compound. Daddy was actively in juju. Then he pushed it to his mother. They took Alaja out of her room and they excavated the whole floor. When they took the floor out, they found charms, snakes, everything under the ground. Yes, it happened. Yes, there are videos. My father ran to the chief imam, ran to the archbishop. The religious leaders showed up in the house and they saw it with their own eyes. And that's when he moved my grandmother to live some.
Kowe is, they say, is a species of black and white in the vanguard, particularly the white-crested shrike, and also possibly the black and white shrike flycatcher. These birds serve as a traditional omen or symbol of death or danger. English, you can go English word. In English. English, that let's go from in English. English. Ẹ jẹ́ bá mi wo Black Crow. Okay.
The same Molete house today, Sheyi Makinde renovated it for 100.
Sorry, is it true that it's a symbol of bad thing? Yes, the bear's appearance can mean peace or wahala.
Daddy had me kidnapped and mommy pushed out of the house with 20 thugs that morning. They came to abduct us if we didn't leave the house. In the middle of 2015, Daddy, April 6, 2015, Daddy, April 6, 2015, there are when you're later, you can kidnap because baby lost me, confrontation me, so I don't be last me too. See me on wash up. I was naked. I had my periods. Blood was dripping on my legs. It reminded me of the Ikorodu nightmare. I had to go. They had guns, knives. They took my iPad. They took my phone. I lost all my devices and I walked into a car with kidnappers who drove me out of my compound, and I saw my dad in his car sitting near the house and watching to make sure they did the job well. You pushed us out of the house. Mommy went to live in Ikolaba. All of us had to go, tire me, everything. And then when I was released from that hospital, I went to join them. And Daddy, you took possession of Molete house. Why? Because you wanted to move in there with Ronke. That house was idle for 1 year. Idle for 1 year. Daddy fell in Komole. Daddy wanted to bury snakes, cows. The neighbors saw my father burying a cow at night. He did not know that he gave birth to an investigative journalist. One of the neighbors there said they were burying a cow on the ground at night. That is a ritual thing. Daddy wanted to do something in that compound. That's why he had to tell us to leave. No one lived in there for a year. And then later on, it's now the beautiful, posh, nice 100 million naira renovation that Sheyi Makinde did for the house. That is the house Ronke is sitting in now. I watched Ronke yesterday taking condolence visits from Debo Ogundoyin, Tina's son. Ironically, the same day I had a baby is the same day Tina had a baby. My autistic son, Tom Bayeje, the same day Timi Obiamoye, no one be Debo. Tina be Debo. If I remember very well, Tina is dead now. Mrs. Ogundoyin had that boy on the 17th of February, 1987. That's the same birthday as my oldest son, my 38-year-old autistic son. He's autistic, he's struggling, he's doing security guard. Debo is in Nigeria, is the speaker to the House of Assembly. I want my elevate other people. Mommy now started shouting. She would call her friends, Ojo Alakmi, Ojora, Toyin Ojora's mother. Toyin Saraki is what you know her as, Toyin Ojora's mother. She will call Florence Saraki. That one is dead now. Bukola and Bemi's mother. She will say, she will be reporting my dad to them. Daddy, don't you see what Dr. Olushola Saraki did for his children? He empowered them. That's what they call empowerment. Parents are supposed to empower. Bemi went to the Senate. Bemi went to the House. Bukola went to the governorship. Bukola went to the Senate. Bukola was president. You can't compare yourself to everybody, but look at what they're doing for their children. Is there a politician in Nigeria that does not empower their child to go into government? You tell me. Part 5 is coming. Okay? You tell me. But my dad did nothing for us.